Hi, my name is Sam Scott, and for my project on Retrofuturism, I chose an article posted by the Chicago Tribune in 1958. It was a short article, and it was located in the back of the newspaper, but I think it's a very good example of retrofuturism. I say this for two reasons. The article specifically makes predictions about how the world will be in the future, as well as how space travel will change with time. While the text is short, a lot of information can be gathered from it. I'd like to hit it off with what the text got correct. Being written in the 1950s, human space travel hadn't yet been achieved. It would take about 3 years after the publication of the article to confirm its prediction of human space travel being possible. Along with the article comes an artist's depiction of the future of space travel. In the illustration, it shows a human presence on the moon, another correct and confirmed prediction made by the article. As for the predictions they got wrong, the most significant would most likely be how powerful they expected future spaceships to be. For starters, experts said one day we would have rockets weighing more than 10 million pounds lifting off into space. As of today, the largest rocket ever made for the purpose of spaceflight was made in 1969, weighing a mere 310,000 pounds. This was the Saturn V rocket, which took the first American men to the moon. The article made many remarks to the British colonization of the Americas, referring to the future spaceships as space Mayflowers. This was an incorrect prediction, kind of implying that space colonization would be commonplace in the future, which it has never occurred and there's no plan for it. So what conclusions can we draw from these predictions? I believe two factors are coming into play here. The gross over predictions made were due to the fact that people had very high hopes for space at the time, and there's a lot of interest in the area. We can see that funding for space programs was extremely high at the time as well. If this funding continued, perhaps it would be feasible today for space colonization to happen. Even still, multi-million pound rockets like they predicted are virtually impossible. This is where the second factor comes to play: brain hacking and the attention economy. We've learned that brain hacking and the attention economy work side by side, and their goals are essentially to instill an urge in the reader or the user, or whatever it might be, to continue using their product or continue viewing their product. Brain hacking effectively is done by the article by making these over predictions, and by doing so, the reader will want to come back the next week and look at the same section on the newspaper, because every week they create a new prediction, this week happening to be about the future of space travel. So by keeping the reader interested, making these over predictions, and it makes them inclined to come back the next week and read the same section. So all in all, I believe that it's safe to say that the two factors that come into play are brain hacking and the fact that people's interests change, and like the social construct changes essentially, because we started to see a general trend with the 21st century home. We saw roles change. We saw women move from the kitchen to having a financial role in the family, and we saw a shift from having predominantly older white men be in charge. I think we start to see a shift socially, because they didn't predict any interest would change in space, which we saw in the chart with NASA funding. So people were just kind of blank to see exactly how interest would change over the course of half a century, and we saw it did, because it went from 4% all the way down to below 1% of the US GDP. My roommate shared with me that he believes space travel isn't as big as it used to be, like when it was in the Cold War, but he said it should be. So he does agree indirectly with this shift in interest that I was saying before. So I think, summed up, brain hacking was a factor, as well as people just generally losing interest or changing their interest to something else. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it insightful, and have a good day.